All right, more words. I will read this one. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I mean, what kind of person you got to be to look at that garbage? An automotive service technician earned a median pay of $16 per hour in 2012. Don't worry about the median thing, although it is a math thing. Let T be the number of hours worked at the rate as an auto service technician. A, fill in the following table showing the arithmetic expression used to calculate the gross earnings for working a certain number of hours. B, using the pattern, write an expression for the total gross earnings in terms of T, the number of hours worked. So gross earnings would equal, and we'll fill in that blank. If you want to figure out how much the technician made after 28 hours, you would use the number T equals blank. D, using parts B and C to determine how much the technician makes after working 28 hours. And then E, extend the table or create a formula to find the number of hours needed to work to gross $256. We will do it, but first, let's identify some important values, such as, it doesn't look like the year 2012 is particularly important because down here is just number of hours worked. So nothing to do about the years. And I don't know how accurate this is either. But what it does say is that the technician, automotive service technician, will make $16 every hour or per hour. It's the same thing. So in my table, we got number of hours worked. If this technician works exactly 0 hours, how much will they gross earn? Now, with that though, sometimes in the problem, they'll be like, they make $16 per hour, but they get like a $500 signing bonus or something like that. Okay, then if they work 0 hours, they get that $500. And again, this is assuming there's no stipulations with it. But in this case, if they work 0 hours, they will get paid exactly $0. Now, what if they work exactly 1 hour, which is the next row? Well, we know that then they would make their first 16 bucks. Because every 1 hour, they're going to make 16 bucks. That's what it says right here. So if they work 2 hours, what you can do, there's 2 ways to do this. You can take the 16 and add another 16 right there. So 6 plus 6 is 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 32. They'd get $32. Or if you wanted to, you could do $16 an hour for 2 hours. 16 times 2, which is still going to be 32. So the next one as well, you could do 32, but another $16 for the next hour, the third hour there. So that's 2 plus 6, which is 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. But again, if you'd like to, you can do $16 an hour for 3 hours. It's the same thing. In a table like this, it's actually doesn't matter, right? Well, we filled out the table. I guess I forgot to check if that's, yeah, fill in the following table. Okay, so we did it. Okay, so part B, using the pattern, write an expression for the total gross earnings in terms of T, the number of hours worked. Now, what you would not want to do right here, because we were doing the addition thing, right, is you would not want to do something like 16 plus 16 plus 16. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because we don't know how many hours are going to be worked. So we don't want to do that. What we do want to do is, this is where the addition, I mean, it's nice, repeated addition, but again, since we don't know how many times it's going to add to itself, we're going to have to use the multiplication on this. So the gross earnings, I know that it's $16 every hour, so I got my 16, but that would be just for 1 hour if I kept it there. Since we don't know how many hours are going to be worked, I can just multiply by T there in terms of T. T is the number of hours worked, so 16 times T will get us the gross earnings. Right, like this one. Even this one, if they work 0 hours, well, 16 times 0 is $0 gross earnings. 16 times 1, $16 for that first hour. 16 times 2, 32. 16 times 3, 48, and so forth. But that at least is the expression or the formula that you would use for number of hours worked for this automotive service technician. If you want to figure out how much the technician made after 28 hours, you would use the number T equals, that's our T for time in this expression, or I can call it an equation, but 28 hours instead of T. So 28 here. I'll label it, what the heck. Okay, so with that, using parts B and C Determine how much the technician makes after 28 hours. Okay. Well, the formula is showing 16 times T, but part C says instead of a T, we know how much hours they're going to work, 28. When we get this, that will tell us how much money the technician would make after 28 hours of work. Well, I have that lined up horizontally, but we're going to have to multiply with stacked multiplication. So let's do that. All right, multiply. So first up, 6 times 8 is 48, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, but adding 4 would make that 12. Okay, now the tens place value, so no ones. But 2 times 6 is 12, so carry that 1. 2 times 1 is 2, but adding the 1 would be 3. Yeah, thank you.
It's hard.
It definitely is after, I guess, this much time for me anyways,
It's Thursday.
and some days.
It's okay.
So in the ones place value, 8 plus 0 is 8. In the tens place value, 2 plus 2 is 4. In the hundreds place value, 1 plus 3 is 4 as well. So the technician would make $448 in dollars. Of course, we're not looking at tax because we haven't done decimals yet, but we like to keep this positive, even though we kind of just finished the negatives unit. So extend the table or create a formula to find the number of hours needed to work to gross $256. Okay, so let's take this. I'm going to write here on the left. The formula is 16T, and that would equal the gross earnings. Well, here it's saying your gross earnings is going to be 256. So instead of gross earnings, we now know what that value is going to be. So I kind of went from an expression into an equation down here because they now have told us how much that's going to be. Now, I'm not going to put the decimal on there, not just because we haven't gone over decimals, but because it's more writing than I want to do again. So we're going to go into principles of equality now. Oh, yeah, I haven't used orange. So we want 1t, not 16 t's. So we're going to take the 16 and divide it by itself. If I do it to one side, I must do it to the other side. All right, so some long division, which we love so much. So we got 256. And we're going to divide this by 16. Okay, so we're going to need some multiples of 16. I'm going to make a table here on the right of that. So, of course, we're going to have 16 plus another 16 would be 32. I'll skip some of the math there. Plus another 16, it's going to be my third multiple. I mean 48. Plus another 16. 64. I'll do one more. Plus another 16. Appears to be 80. Oh, so that's kind of small.
Yeah.
All right. So let's proceed then. So 16, it will not go into 2. But it will go into 25 once. 1 times 16 is 16. Subtract. So we'll make that 15 minus 6, which is 9. And then we'll drop the other 6 there. So I'm going to need another 16 in my multiples. And in fact, when I do, add that next 16, boom, 96. So that right there is the 6th multiple of 18. I said 18, I meant 16. 6 times 16 is going to be 96. When we subtract that out, nothing remaining. So the quotient here on the left is 16. But it's not 16 because it's a word problem. We do need the label. 16 hours. That's it.